Republicans have retaken the House of Representatives, and they have big plans. They want to probe Hunter Biden, investigate the Biden administration, and impeach government officials. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. So here we are, 2 weeks after Election Day, and we finally know that Republicans narrowly won a majority in the House of Representatives. Democrats, meanwhile, still have a majority in the Senate and President Biden in the White House. Technically, Republicans don't officially gain control of the House until January, but they're not wasting time.
The era of one-party Democrat rule in Washington is over. Washington now has a check and balance. The American people have a say in their government. And this new Republican leadership team is ready to get to work to put America back on the right track.
Now, checks and balances are a good thing. But how is the new Republican leadership going to put America back on the right track? According to liberal media, by making life hell for Democrats. Representative Steve Scalise, the number 2 Republican in the House, says Republicans must be relentless in their oversight of the Biden administration and shine a bright light on the administration's policy failures. With such a slim majority in the House, it's going to be hard for Republicans to pass legislation, especially because the Senate will still be controlled by the Democrats. They do have some things they want to pass, like a big energy package to increase oil and gas production and improve the economy. But for the most part, House Republicans have been focusing on what's easier for them to do: investigations. Depending on your perspective, this is either much needed oversight of the Biden administration or making the Democrats' life hell. Or for some people, why not both? Here are the top 5 things House Republicans plan to investigate with their newfound majority. Starting with number 1, the Bidens. House Republicans are making probes into the Biden family a top priority because investigating the Biden crime family is a matter of national security. The Biden crime family, it's like The Sopranos, but everyone's either old or on crack, which makes it perfect for HBO or CBS. House Republicans are specifically looking at the business dealing of President Biden's son, Hunter Biden, along with his brother, James Biden. Now, Hunter Biden has been at the center of a lot of controversies over the years. This includes the famed laptop stuff, which includes evidence of Hunter using his father's influence as vice president to benefit himself. After being called Russian disinformation during the 2020 election, the emails were ultimately verified by the New York Times and the Washington Post. Details about Hunter's business pursuits in Ukraine and China are especially sketchy. Now, we don't know whether Joe Biden himself participated in and benefited from Hunter's shady financial ventures, and Hunter hasn't been charged with any crime. President Biden has claimed he doesn't ask Hunter about his clients, and Hunter doesn't ask his father in turn. Although there has been some evidence that President Biden was aware of and potentially involved in his son's business dealings. There are still a lot of unanswered questions around that. But even if the president wasn't directly involved, what Joe Biden has not done to date is explicitly forbid family members from taking money from people seeking influence. Congressman James Comer, the new ranking Republican in the House Oversight Committee, and Jim Jordan, the new chair of the House Judiciary Committee, want to prove that President Biden is criminally involved. So they've gone public with various accusations, including tax evasion, wire fraud, money laundering, and even human trafficking due to Hunter Biden's taste in women.
We will pursue all avenues that have long been ignored. The Biden family's business dealings implicate a wide range of criminality, from human trafficking to potential violations of the Constitution. I want to be clear. This is an investigation of Joe Biden, and that's where the committee will focus in this next Congress.
They really, really want to see Joe Biden guilty of being a crime family mobster. I'm telling you, HBO, the Biden crime family would be a hit. Last week, the Republicans on the House Oversight Committee distributed an interim staff report. In it, the Republicans say that Biden lied to the American people about his personal involvement with his family's global business dealings. They also allege that Biden personally participated in and benefited from these financial ventures, leaving him open to influence, blackmail, or extortion by malign or foreign entities such as the Chinese Communist Party. However, the White House shot back, accusing Republicans of wasting time on politically motivated attacks chock full of long-debunked conspiracy theories. Look, White House, it's 2022. Calling something a long-debunked conspiracy theory doesn't make it go away. In fact, it makes a lot of people believe it even more. But it's not just the Bidens who are being targeted by Republicans. More after the break. Welcome back. Republicans are after the Bidens, but they're also after other officials in the Biden administration, which leads us to investigation number 2. Republicans want to expose corruption in the Justice Department. As the new chair of the House Judiciary Committee, Representative Jim Jordan sent a letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland, requesting documents and information on several issues. These include the Justice Department allegedly targeting journalists at Project Veritas, shuttering the Trump administration's China Initiative Security Program, selectively enforcing the FACE Act, and raiding Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence. Jordan is also targeting the FBI, accusing the agency of being broken, citing whistleblowers who describe the FBI as rotted at its core, maintaining a systemic culture of unaccountability and being full of rampant corruption, manipulation, and abuse. The House committee specifically takes issue with the way the FBI has handled investigating parents at school board meetings, domestic violent extremism, people associated with the 2016 Trump campaign, and conservative FBI employees. Republican leader Kevin McCarthy says he's seen enough, and that Republicans will conduct immediate oversight, follow the facts, and leave no stone unturned. He says Garland better preserve his documents and clear his calendar. Ooh, scary. But apparently not so much for Garland. According to the latest House Republican letter, Garland ignored past requests for documents. Republicans are now requesting cooperation in providing testimonies from Justice Department employees, including from Garland himself. They're really flexing those House majority muscles. And you know who else Republicans want to hear from? Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas. Which brings us to investigation number 3. Republicans want to probe Homeland Security over unsecure borders. Under the Biden administration, the U.S. has faced an unprecedented illegal immigration crisis. As of October this year, illegal border crossings topped 2.7 million for fiscal year 2022, breaking the previous record by more than 1 million. This is on top of the record number of deaths at the southern border. Despite all this, the Homeland Security Secretary says that the border is secure.
Secretary Mayorkas, do you continue to maintain that the border is secure?
Yes, and we are working day in and day out to enhance its security, Congressman.
Right.
Yeah, Republicans aren't convinced. Just like they did with the Justice Department, they're now putting Mayorkas and other Homeland Security officials on notice to provide unfettered cooperation and testify when Congress convenes in January. They really seem to like that term, unfettered cooperation. But the DOJ and the Department of Homeland Security aren't the only targets for unfettered cooperation. I'll tell you more after the break. Welcome back. The House Republicans want to investigate the Bidens, the Department of Justice, and the Department of Homeland Security. But that's not everything on their to-do list. And so let's look at investigation number 4. House Republicans want to investigate U.S. health policy. Republicans don't buy the narrative that COVID-19 came from a Chinese wet market. Last month, Republicans in the Senate Health Committee concluded that COVID most likely leaked from a Chinese lab. And with GOP control of the House, Republicans want more COVID investigations. They also want to investigate U.S. federal funds that were used to support research done in the Wuhan Institute of Virology. For that, Republicans want to question Dr. Anthony Fauci, the head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, who's set to retire later this year. Fauci's response? If they have oversight hearings, I'm happy to cooperate. And if they don't, that's good too. Cool as a cucumber, that Fauci. Republicans also want to investigate the waste, fraud, and abuse of COVID relief aid, the impact of Democrats' COVID policies, and biosafety practices to prevent future lab leaks. Now that all seems pretty important. And while they're at it, maybe Congress can also investigate former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo for all the grandparents he got killed during the pandemic. COVID policies aside, Republicans also aim to tackle prescription drug middlemen raising costs, making sure there's transparency with hospital and insurer prices, and promote medicines made in the USA. They also have their eyes on pushing the age of eligibility for Social Security and Medicare benefits to 70, though that's not going to be popular with old people. And those are just the health policies. House Republicans have other investigations in mind too, such as an investigation into Biden's Afghanistan pullout. They just can't stop with the investigations. But there's one other thing that Republicans dream of doing. Number 5, impeach Joe Biden. This is probably one of the more unrealistic ideas Republicans have. They've just barely got a majority in the House, so it's unlikely they'll find traction in impeaching Biden. Plus, do Americans really want to see Congress impeach a president every 2 years? Then it won't be special anymore. So far, there have been 14 impeachment resolutions introduced against Biden. 5 of them came from one Republican, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. The 14 impeachment resolutions are based on charges over things like Biden's botched Afghanistan withdrawal, the southern border crisis, and extension of the eviction moratorium during the pandemic. I had no idea that high crimes and misdemeanors now include incompetent policy choices. In that case, we should just impeach presidents before they get elected. It's more efficient that way. Of course, there was no traction for any of these impeachment resolutions, and Republican leader Kevin McCarthy has downplayed the idea of impeaching Biden in the past. But there's also interest in impeaching other government officials, such as Attorney General Garland and Secretary Mayorkas. Centrist Republicans, however, are worried that hasty impeachment attempts would hurt their own re-election chances in 2024. Meanwhile, the White House is fighting back against these Republican investigations with months of prep work. Months of prep work? The midterms just happened, so either the White House has a time machine or they saw the investigations coming. It's obviously the time machine. At any rate, lawyers from across the Biden administration, including the Defense, State, and Justice Departments, have gathered. And the White House is preparing to hire additional lawyers and other staff to beef up its oversight response team in the next 2 months. They're especially keen on keeping a close eye on Congressmen Comer and Jordan. And Democratic Party strategists are launching a separate counterpunch to investigate the investigators. It's a multi-billion-dollar hub called the Congressional Integrity Project. The initiative will include rapid response teams, investigative researchers, pollsters, and eventually a paid media campaign to put congressional Republicans squarely on the defense. The game is on, and the name of the game is apparently a Mexican standoff. The team of researchers has already begun scouring public records, press clippings, and other documents in a bid to immediately undercut House GOP leaders. The next thing you know, Republicans will fight back with investigators who investigate investigators investigating investigators. Oh, good. Because why would Americans want their elected representatives to actually govern instead of investigating each other forever? So what do you think about the House Republicans and their goals? Leave your comments below. And if you like this show, remember that we rely mainly on direct support from viewers like you. All it takes is as little as $1 per episode over on our crowdfunding website, Patreon. Visit patreon.com/America Uncovered for more. Click the link below. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.